Eventually, Darwin evolved himself into a corpse. He was buried here in Westminster Abbey before evolving again into worms and dust. Dinosaurs came in many flavours, just like kettle chips. As this actual footage shows, the main ones were the across ones who ate grass, and the up and down ones who ate the across ones. This tyrannical sawdust rex is the only real dinosaur left in the world, which is probably why it's so angry, spending literally every waking moment of its life roaring helplessly at passing tourists. People wonder why the dinosaurs became extinct, although it's hardly surprising they died out when you see the barbaric conditions they're kept in zoos such as this one. Underfed, starving, some of them little more than skeletons. England descended into 30 glorious years of violent conflict between rival royal houses, the War of the Roses, which sounds like a sitcom about florists, but perhaps surprisingly wasn't. This was an incredibly complex period of history, which is frustrating because we've got to get it out of the way in this episode, and we spent too long talking about Mel Gibson earlier. As well as watching people die painfully, popular pastimes included bear baiting, shin kicking and cockfighting, which isn't what it sounds like, even though I checked twice. Ron.
Among the romantics, you mean?
Yeah.
William Godwin was quite wrong. He believed that there should be no laws at all in society.
No, who's Ron?
Ron? Is there a Ron?
Yeah, the one that wrote all the poems and signed them by Ron.
Yeah, that was his family name, Byron. Lord George Byron.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
These days, no one works in these factories except ghosts, and even then, they only work night shifts. Workers did long, thankless hours with no breaks and low pay in a squalid and threatening environment, conditions unthinkable today to anyone who isn't a junior doctor. How fast could you turn a pig into a cow?
A pig into a cow? You're never going to be able to turn a pig into a cow. Why would you want to turn a pig into a cow? Pigs are quite good at being pigs, and cows are relatively good at being cows. Why do you want to turn a pig into a cow?
Just see what it's like. These days, people pay thousands of pounds to visit the sun-kissed islands of the Caribbean. But in the 1700s, you could go there for free if you were black and didn't want to go there. It was immediately obvious to anyone that slavery was wrong, which is why it was only allowed to continue for hundreds of years. Queen Victoria was made Empress of India in 1877, a title she was so thrilled by, she immediately set about never visiting the Indian continent at any point in her life. Who was the Darth Vader of the Empire? Was it Queen Victoria?
You probably wouldn't have had anyone quite as powerful as Darth Vader, as, if you like, a supreme leader.
What about Luke Skywalker?
I think many people would have liked to have undertaken a Skywalker-like role as a saviour, but there probably weren't too many of those around.
Chewbacca?
No, I think that's stretching it.
Man said, follow the man and don't dilly-dally on the way. That sort of rhythm was very popular.
So why was that considered entertaining? Sherlock Holmes himself has regenerated many times and in many different forms throughout history, from drawings to black and white man, to a black and white man in colour, into a cricketer, and even an alien. But perhaps the best known Victorian to put quill to paper is one of the greatest writers Britain has ever shut out, Sir Charles Dickens. Vacations, David's Copperfield, The Picnic Papers, and his masterpiece, Oliver's Twist. Despite the spoiler in its title, Oliver's Twist doesn't have a twist at the end, which, come to think of it, is a brilliant twist in itself. That's how clever Dickens was. Dickens' immortality couldn't last, and in 1870 he died forever. We don't know what his last words were, or whether he managed to blurt out "the end" just before closing his mouth for the last time.